If you're a startup founder and you're asking for a mentor when what you really need is a consultant, you are already setting yourself up to fail. How do I know? Because I've made that mistake before. So in this video, I want to break down for you what's the difference between a mentor, an advisor, a consultant, what they do, how they get paid, and most importantly, who do you actually need, depending on where you're at. So let's start with the mentor because that's the most common thing that I hear. A mentor is usually someone that has a lot of experience and that can offer you emotional support, perspective, someone to bounce ideas back and forth, and someone to give you informal guidance. They might share lessons from their own journey, might be able to encourage you, or also sometimes call you out and give you a reality check. My mentors have helped me boost my confidence, give me pep talks before entering important meetings, and also helped me build resilience. Mentors do not get paid. It is usually based on mutual respect and also a desire to give back, which is why you find a lot of mentors, for example, in alumni networks. The most common mistake that I see founders make, and that I did myself when I first started out as a founder and I was fundraising, is to expect them to solve tactical business problems that you're facing. They are not your free COO. Now, what is an advisor? An advisor is someone that you strategically bring in for their knowledge. For example, if you're fundraising, you might want to bring in an advisor that is a serial entrepreneur that has experience in fundraising themselves. It is someone that might be great to make warm introductions for you to their network. An advisor can give you high-level guidance, and usually you meet with them once a month, maybe sometimes every other week. I would view an advisor, especially if you're a startup founder, kind of like a sounding board for you as the CEO of the company. An advisor, unlike a mentor, gets equity in your company. Usually, it's between 0.1 to 1%. I always tell my founders I prefer 0.25 for an average advisor. Now, it can look very different if you have an advisor that you want to be more involved in your operations. In that case, I would definitely be more generous with the equity. Advisory agreements are also the ones that I like to use whenever we bring in a celebrity or another high-profile person. The only difference is that with a regular advisor, their equity vests over a period of time, let's say 1 or 2 years. So after helping you for 2 years, once a month, to have a call with them, to make warm introductions, etc., their equity has been vested. With celebrities, we usually structure it a little bit different because most of them are not going to commit to helping you for 2 years, but they might commit to help you open doors, to be able to use them on your pitch deck, or maybe even give you a shout out on social media. So advisory agreements can be designed very creatively and on an individual basis. But the important thing is that they get equity as a payment. I have found most of my advisors through my network and through accelerator programs. So let's say you go through an accelerator program and you have an incredible mentor throughout the entire program, and you would like for them to stay involved with you. A good way to do that is to ask them if they might be interested to becoming an advisor in your company. So now you're moving from mentor into advisor and you give them equity for their work with you. Now, a common mistake that I see happen with advisors is that a lot of founders think they're going to be there fixing problems with you. And truly, their job is to give you advice and not fix day-to-day problems. So what's a consultant? A consultant is a professional that you bring in specifically to fix a problem. That could be strategy, it could be pitch decks, it could be messaging, it could be branding. A consultant works very closely with your team. They bring in speed, clarity, and a framework. Now, I see myself as a mix of a strategist and a consultant, and I can tell you the biggest difference and the reason I am so passionate about using the right label is because when I first started being a founder, I was looking for a consultant, but I did not know that that's what I was looking for. So I kept looking at my mentors and advisors for support. One of the things that I really wanted them to do is to sit down with me and help me edit my pitch deck and make it ready for our next fundraising round. I was also hoping they would sit down with me and help me change the financials and help me play around with numbers. I also needed them to be available at a short notice and fast and sit down with me for hours and hours and really look through all of my materials. And obviously, because I had incredible advisors and incredible mentors, they all had high-paying careers. None of them were able to just sit down with me for an entire weekend and just look through all of my fundraising materials. And it took me way too long to realize that I spent months trying to get something out of my advisors and mentors and asking the wrong people for the wrong kind of advice, when in reality, all along, I could have just hired a consultant who would have sat down with me and would have done it with me hands-on, and it would have just been done. Which, by the way, is the reason I actually started Founders Registry, because I wasted so much time on people that constantly gave me advice, when what I would have needed was someone to sit down with me and just do it with me and get it done. Now, consultants get paid cash. That is their job. So you don't ask consultants to pick their brain, to just give you free feedback, or to just hop on a call. It's their job to get paid to do what they do. And if they're a good consultant, then they're going to be booked up. So they're not going to just work with someone, especially not a stranger, that reaches out through LinkedIn or another social network to just help them for free and have them pick their brain. I can tell you that I personally get asked by founders to pick my brain probably 5 times a day. I could easily spend half of my workday on Zoom calls with founders that don't want to pay me. And because I know what I'm doing and I'm good at my job, I actually get paid by founders to help them do this. And I don't just take free calls with anyone. Personally, I see it as a red flag if someone says that they're a consultant and they're an expert and they're willing to just work for you for free. In my experience, people that work like that aren't actually experts, which is why they're offering it for free. That's just my opinion. How do you get a good consultant? Personally, I would rely on my network of other founders. At Founders Registry, for example, I have never run ads. We have never done any kind of advertisement. Every single client we have is word of mouth. It is our own founders sending other founders to work with us. And one last piece of advice that I needed to hear myself, that one of my advisors gave me, it has stuck with me for over a decade, and it has opened so many doors for me in my career, is that you truly have to appreciate your mentors, your advisors, and your consultants. It doesn't matter if they get equity or if they get paid or if they really wanted to be a mentor through some kind of alumni network. I see too many founders, especially once they close around and they're on that high wave and everything is going their way, forget about the people that uplifted them and made sure that they even got on that big wave. And fostering these relationships and treating those people with a lot of respect and appreciation is crucial. Even when you feel like you're paying someone a high hourly rate, let's say a consultant like myself or an attorney, for example, at the end of the day, those are all human. And thinking that they have to work fast and deliver immediately because they're on the clock is the fastest way to burn bridges. Those people have an incredible network that could really change your life if they open their network to you. No one is entitled to someone else's network. That is something that you have to earn, and it's earned through respect and appreciation. I hope that overview helps. And I would love for you to put in the comments, what misconceptions did you have about all of these terms, or maybe other terms that we use in our industry? And as always, you can find all of the work that we do on foundersregistry.com. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and engage with our content, because that really helps push it out there. And I hope you learned something new again today.